You know it would cost $5. You knew before you opened the toolbox. You knew when you pulled the machine away from the wall and your wife walked through the kitchen and said, with that voice she uses when she's being patient on purpose, you know you can just buy a new one, right? You knew. You always know. The math has never been the mystery. The mystery is why you are on your back on the kitchen floor with a flashlight and a socket wrench. 3 hours into something that a replacement part and 10 minutes of common sense could have solved before dinner. She thinks it is stubbornness. Your neighbor would call it cheapness. You're not sure what it is either, but your hands are already inside the machine, and stopping now is not something your body will consider. There is a reason for that. And it has absolutely nothing to do with saving $5. This is not frugality, not pride wearing work gloves. Something much more specific is happening inside your nervous system right now. And it has almost nothing to do with the broken part, and almost everything to do with what fixing it gives your brain that buying a replacement never could. Two psychologists named Edward Desai and Richard Ryan spent the better part of 40 years trying to answer a question that sounds simple, but turned out to be one of the most important in their field. The question was, what makes a person feel alive? Not happy, not successful, not comfortable, alive. They found that the answer comes down to three things. Three psychological needs that, when met, produce the sensation of being a fully functioning human being. The first is autonomy, the sense that you are the one choosing your actions. Not following instructions, not fulfilling someone else's requirements, choosing. The second is competence, the sense that your actions actually produce results in the world, that when you do something, something changes. The third is relatedness, the sense that what you do connects you to something or someone that matters. The creak of a bolt, loosening on the third attempt. The specific resistance in the threads that tells the fingers whether the thread is stripped or just corroded. The difference between those two conditions is not written in any manual. It lives in the calluses. Your job probably gives you relatedness. You work with people, you contribute to something. On good days, it might give you a version of competence, though the version is often delayed and filtered through layers of approval and metrics that somebody else designed. But autonomy, real autonomy, the kind where every single decision from start to finish belongs to you and nobody else, that is almost impossible to find in a modern work week. Somebody sets the deadline. Somebody approves the direction. Somebody reviews the outcome. Somebody decides whether the outcome was good enough. The repair on the kitchen floor is different. Nobody assigned it. Nobody is supervising it. Nobody will evaluate it against a rubric or compare it to a benchmark. The timeline belongs to your hands. The method belongs to your experience. The sequence of disassembly, diagnosis, sourcing, repair, and reassembly belongs entirely to the person lying on the floor. And the result, when the machine clicks on and the water flows and the sound is right again, that result belongs to you in a way that almost nothing in your professional life belongs to you anymore. 3 hours of complete psychological autonomy in a week that provides almost none. The $5 part was never the calculation your brain was making. Your brain was calculating something the receipt could never capture. A washer seated against a valve body. The particular click when clean threads engage after being chased with a tap. The water running through the repaired line for the first time. The sound of flow resuming through a path that your hands cleared. There's a second mechanism underneath the first, and it explains something your wife has probably noticed but never had the language for. When you are deep into a repair, your breathing changes, your shoulders drop, your jaw unclenches. You might not notice it yourself, but she has noticed that the man who comes up from the floor after 3 hours is not the same man who went down. Getting the finish right is the hardest part of any project. If you have ever dealt with bubbles, streaks, or coat that just would not dry, we put together a guide that covers everything the can does not tell you. Scan the code on screen or check the first comment below. He is quieter, slower, more settled. The reason lives in a nerve called the vagus nerve. It is the longest nerve in your body, running from your brainstem all the way down to your abdomen, and it controls a remarkable amount of what you feel without you being aware of it. Heart rate, breathing depth, inflammatory response, digestive function. The state of this nerve, what researchers call vagal tone, determines whether your body is in a state of stress or a state of recovery. High vagal tone means the body is calm, regulated, resilient. Low vagal tone means the body is reactive, tense, ready for threat. Researchers studying what happens to vagal tone during focused manual work found something that the meditation industry would rather you not know. Repetitive, purposeful hand movements, the kind that involve resistance and feedback and fine motor control, shift vagal tone upward with an efficiency that rivals or exceeds most formal relaxation techniques. The hands working on a stuck bolt, the fingers testing the tension of a spring, the wrist adjusting the angle of a wrench in a confined space. Each of these micro movements is sending a signal through the vagus nerve that says, the body is engaged, the mind is focused, the environment is under control. The nerve responds by lowering heart rate, deepening respiration, and reducing the stress hormones that have been accumulating since Monday morning. Your wife sees a man wasting time on the floor. Your vagus nerve is having the best 3 hours it has had all week. The flashlight shifting to illuminate a component hidden behind a bracket. The angle of the wrist changing to reach a fastener that was not designed to be reached by anyone outside a factory floor. The private satisfaction of reaching it anyway, of proving that the design intended to exclude you did not succeed. There's a third layer that a psychologist named James Gross uncovered, and it explains something about the repair that is harder to see but might be the most important part. Gross spent years studying how people manage their emotions. He found that most people use one of two strategies. They either suppress the feeling, shove it down, and carry on as if it does not exist, or they reappraise it, try to think about the feeling differently, reframe it, talk themselves into a different interpretation. Both strategies happen in the mind. Both require language. Both require the person to identify what they are feeling and then perform a mental operation on it. But Gross and his colleagues found a third strategy that the research had been overlooking because it does not happen in the mind at all. It happens in the body. Some people regulate their emotional state by changing what their hands are doing, and the change in physical activity produces the change in emotional state without the feeling ever needing to be named or examined or discussed with anyone. The regulation happens below language, below awareness sometimes. The man on the kitchen floor after a long day is not suppressing anything. He is not reappraising anything. He's processing the entire week through the physical act of solving a problem with his hands. And the processing works better than either of the mental strategies because it does not require him to know what he is feeling. It only requires him to have something broken in front of him and the willingness to stay with it until it is not broken anymore. A spring removed from its housing with controlled fingers. The tension released slowly, carefully, the way every similar spring has been released for decades, even though this particular spring has never been in these particular hands before. The knowledge is not in the memory, it is in the tendons. The tendons remember things the mind has forgotten. The behavior has roots that go deeper than any individual kitchen floor and any individual repair. There was a generation of men for whom the question of fix or replace did not exist. Replacement was a luxury. Replacement was for people who could not figure out how things worked. When something broke, it was fixed. And the fixing was not a statement or a philosophy or a personality trait. It was Tuesday. It was what hands did. The sons of those men absorbed the behavior the way children absorb language, without being taught and without being able to unlearn it. The impulse to fix rather than replace is not a decision. It is an inheritance. And the inheritance carries inside it a piece of knowledge that the modern economy would prefer you forget. You are capable of intervening in the physical world and changing its condition through your own effort. And the change means more when it costs you time than when it costs you money. Because money is abstract. Time is the one thing your hands actually spend. There is someone who fixed a dishwasher on a Sunday afternoon that a repair service had quoted $350 to fix. The problem turned out to be a clogged drain hose and a worn pump seal. Total cost of parts, $11 from a supply house he found online while lying on the floor doing the diagnosis, which itself took 40 minutes and involved removing the kick plate and running the machine while watching the water path from underneath. The repair took 4 hours. His wife had already booked the technician. She stood in the doorway during the last 20 minutes of reassembly, watching him return each screw to its original position, not the nearest hole, but the original one, because the original position was where the engineer intended it, and the intention mattered even if nobody would ever see it. She canceled the appointment, not because of the money, because something in the way the last panel went back on, carefully, slowly, with a precision that the task did not strictly require, told her something that the technician's invoice never could. It told her that this machine was known now, understood, not a sealed box that performs a function until it stops. A system whose water path was mapped by the hands of the person who uses it every day. The $11 purchased a part. The 4 hours purchased a relationship between a man and a machine that the $350 invoice would have made unnecessary. And unnecessary, it turns out, was the problem. The hands did not need the repair to be necessary. They needed it to be theirs. There is another whose son asked why he was rebuilding the lawnmower when a new one was on sale for less than the parts. The explanation involved carburetor jets and engine compression, and the specific sound a small engine makes when the fuel mixture is correct. The real answer was shorter and harder to say out loud. The mower was purchased the spring the boy was born. It had cut every lawn the boy had ever played on. Replacing it would be rational. Replacing it would also remove from the garage the last machine that remembered the yard the way it used to be. There is another whose wife keeps a running list of repairs that took longer than buying new would have taken. The toaster? 7 hours across 2 evenings. The bathroom faucet? An entire Saturday. The vacuum cleaner? 3 sessions totaling 9 hours. She recites the list at dinner parties, not with frustration, but with the particular amusement of someone who has stopped trying to change a pattern and started studying it instead. She noticed something she did not expect to notice. During the weeks when nothing in the house breaks, when every system hums and every appliance performs, he is restless, not anxious, not unhappy. Restless the way a musician is restless when they have not played in days. The body misses the thing it knows how to do. And when something finally breaks, when the dryer makes a sound, or the faucet starts dripping, or the garage door hesitates on the way up, something settles in him that she can see from across the room. The shoulders level, the breathing slows, the toolbox comes out, and the man who was slightly out of place all week is suddenly exactly where he belongs. What most people see when someone spends 3 hours fixing a $5 problem is a failure of arithmetic. A man who does not understand that his time has value and that the value exceeds the cost of the replacement. What is actually happening is a man whose brain is running a completely different equation, one that the household budget was never designed to solve. Desai and Ryan's research tells us the repair delivers a depth of autonomy and competence that the modern workweek has systematically removed from most men's lives. The vagal tone research tells us the body enters a physiological state during the repair that it cannot access through any other activity available to it on a Thursday evening. Gross's emotion regulation research tells us the repair is processing feelings that the man may not have names for, through a channel that does not require names, only tools and time and something broken that is willing to become whole again under the right hands. The $5 was never the point. The $5 was never even in the equation. The equation was, how does a man feel fully alive in a world that has automated most of the things his hands were built to do? And the answer, tonight, is lying on a kitchen floor with a flashlight and a socket wrench, fixing something that everyone else would have replaced, and feeling, for the first time since Monday, that he is exactly where he is supposed to be. If you have ever finished a repair that took longer than it should have and felt something in your chest that was not pride exactly, but something quieter and deeper, something that the word satisfaction gets close to but does not fully reach, the feeling was not about the object you fixed. It was about the proof that your hands still work, proof that the world still responds to effort, proof that in a life filled with problems you cannot solve, this one, the small one, the $5 one, yielded. And the yielding was worth every minute, not because you saved the money, because you needed to know that you could still make something work. And now you know. And the knowing will carry you quietly through the rest of the week, the way it always has, without asking anyone for permission, and without needing anyone to understand, the way it has always carried you, since the very first repair. If this video gave you a new way to understand what happens in your workshop, there is something we made for you. In the first comment below this video, there is a link to a guide we put together on how to get a perfect finish every time. Hundreds of subscribers already have their copy. It might be worth a look.